Hello everyone, I cordially welcome you all to another video from the React tutorial series, and in this video we are going to discuss why keys are important in rendering list in React. So without any delay, let's get started. So let's recap what is a list in React and how rendering list is important. List is a pretty important data structure in any programming language. It helps us in handling mutable data and push items or remove items from it. In React, lists are used mainly to render a HTML element repetitively to show some data. For example, if from an API we have got 4 objects which contain some data, we can render it on UI using the same div element just by iterating on it and passing different data as props to it. Example, a products page in e-commerce website. So if you have not watched our previous video which was dedicated to rendering list in React, I will highly recommend you because that is a prerequisite to understand why keys are important. But if I do a quick recap, I can say sometimes you get an array of objects to render on the UI, and for each cart it is not advisable you create each item. Like for a production grade application, if you get 100 of data, it is not possible you will create 100 carts for it. Rather, what we generally do in React, we create a cart component, and as per the data received, we pass the received data from the API as props to our component. And what the cart component will do, it will receive the prop and render it. So for 10 data, if we loop over those 10 data and call the cart component and pass the 10 different props, it will render 10 different cards on the UI. Okay, that is the main concept of rendering list. Now let's learn what are keys and why are they important. A key is a special string attribute which is needed to be included while creating list of elements. If developers miss setting up the key attribute, something like this might show up in the console. Warning: each child in a list should have a unique key prop. This is so because while rendering list in React using the map method as discussed in the previous video, we are supposed to pass a prop called key, and the value of that prop is required to be unique among the list of items. Okay, so when you render over a list of items which you have received from your API to render a dynamic content on the UI, always when you repetitively call the child component, basically for example the cart component, you have to pass this key attribute. This key is a special attribute which is of type string, and this is important because it helps React to track the items in a better way. Like in case if you insert a new item, modify an item or delete an item, it helps React to re-render the browser quickly such that you get a glitch-free experience. Okay? And if in case by mistake you forget to provide this key attribute, you will get a warning on the console saying that each child in a list should have a unique key prop, because this is what React requires to track the list of items which you are rendering on the UI. Okay? And remember, in general cases, never set the index of that item as an key. The reason is setting index of elements as keys is basically an anti-pattern. Basically, if you are not sure what are anti-patterns are ways by which you should never solve a problem. Okay? If you pass index of that element as keys to React, it will actually confuse React and increase its headache to control the list of items. Rather, it is always advisable you use a unique ID for it. For an example, if you get this data from an SQL table, so in SQL you will have a unique ID column which will have a list of numbers to show the ID of that item in the table. Always use that. Okay? And in case of any NoSQL database, for example MongoDB, you have something known as an underscore ID which is of type object ID. You can use that also. They are the general ways by which you can assign those values to the key and help React to understand the rendering process. Never ever use the index of items directly. Okay? Now let's go to our code and see what I am talking about. So welcome to our code. If you have watched our previous video, you know this code and what I am talking about. So here I am taking that example of rendering list for function component, and here I have mocked a data which we can say we might receive from an API. So here I have given ID and name, and while rendering list in React, we have iterated over this friends array using this map. And for each map, I am telling that each object of it as friend, which will be of type user, and I am rendering within this li tags. Okay. Now you will see I have rendered, but I have also provided this key attribute. Okay. And what I have set here, I have set friend.id, basically this unique ID. For SQL, you will receive this ID from the SQL table, which will be auto-generated and auto-incremented. Okay, let's run our code and see an example. So npm start, as we all know, this is the process by which we start our React application. Let's wait for some time and see. So as you can see, our browser has started and we can see the list of items on the UI. Now if I go to the console, you will see I am not getting any warning messages. Okay, so I hope this concept of rendering list in React is clear with you. In case you are still not sure, just remember two things. Whenever you render any list in React, always provide this key attribute, which will be an ID. And for this key attribute, never set index directly. Okay, always use the ID or the any unique identifier for it. This helps React to track the items properly, and this in turn helps you to optimize the application. Let's go back to our presentation. So I hope you like this video. In case you like it, feel free to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. We are going to bring more videos in the future. For any queries, doubts, suggestions or feedbacks, feel free to post them in the comment section. We are going to reply. So thank you for now. See you in the next video. Bye.